how much blame does Chris Paul take for this?
The league.
You let me get this last.
I mean,
We'll come back to leak.
To me, you know, when it comes to CP3, obviously, I mean, you know, a lot of people were giving him, you know, I mean, after the first 3 rounds, the best point guard of all time.
Is he top 5?
No.
No?
Talking about point guards of all time?
No, he's not. In my
Yeah, I mean,
opinion.
I can't put him top 5.
Absolutely not.
Well, and to be honest, and even if he won a ring this year,
still not top 5.
he still wasn't in my top 5.
He top 8.
Of PGs. Oh yeah, he definitely within the top 10 for sure. I think for him in particular, obviously, yeah, he's had some bad luck and whatnot, you know, but
He had great luck this year.
this year, what I'm saying is bad luck.
Up until this year, he had some bad luck, but then the good luck started coming.
Now, granted, because bad luck, I'm talking about because of his health. Now, some of that is obviously on him, but I'm saying he has just gotten some bad luck. You know, I mean, obviously, to win a title in any sport, whether it's solo or whether it's a team sport, a little luck has to be on your side, especially when you're talking about attrition.
Jordan never needed luck.
Now,
Just the casinos in Vegas, baby.
But-
Did any nigga have to send him as a free throw?
But I say that to say this: when it comes to what he did when he did this year, I mean, in the playoffs, they was calling DeAndre Ayton David Robinson at one point. And they was calling D Book Kobe Bryant.
20 rebounds.
Now,
it was looking smooth for a
now,
I
minute.
definitely tweeted, don't ever call him Bean ever again.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
again.
what we saw is that I think at some point, you know, and obviously in the finals, the Bucks, I mean, their defense was just clamping at some points. And then some points, the Suns were missing shots. And I think CP, it was clear he was starting to get a little bit gassed.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little bit too much at the end, kind of like on his shoulders in the sense of if DeAndre Ayton wasn't really performing that well.
He was intimidating
Mikal
as fuck.
Bridges was kind of up and down. Cam Johnson, you know, had a couple good games. Crowder.
And D Book was present. You could tell in a
Yeah.
lot of games when the game wasn't coming to him and he was out of flow, he was trying to press. On that last possession, when he got
So-
stripped on the oop to Giannis, there was 2 different times he could have stopped for a pull-up jumper. And he tried to force his way to the basket before he got stripped.
He got in the key.
But he could have
Oh,
stopped.
yeah.
He could have stopped at 15 feet. He could
Now-
have stopped at 10 feet.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He
See,
could have
look.
shot a pull-up.
D Book also had to press, if I'm leaning on that side, also had to press a little bit because CP wasn't really carrying a lot of his load.
But that's
offensively.
everybody's point guard. That's what they was calling him.
That's what they was
They
calling
him
him.
point
No,
guard.
that's true.
Leak, but they
That's
what it
true.
was
I'm going to
happening.
divvy it up as 40-40-20. 40 Chris Paul, 40% Monty Williams,
Okay.
20% Devin Booker.
Yeah. Monty didn't make a lot of
He
that.
didn't make a lot of good moves.
Involved
in
in
the
Monty
finals.
Williams, I'm splitting up the role players' poor performances between Monty Williams and Chris Paul because those two are the brain trust of what goes on the floor. Monty Williams obviously drawing it up, you know, strategizing, and then Chris Paul being the on the court representation of that.
That's what I've always
point,
felt.
quote unquote God, point demigod. When you have a great defensive team like Milwaukee and that one-on-one stuff stops working, whose job is it to get the ball back moving and to get sets back going on the floor?
The coach and the point guard.
And we didn't see none of that happen.
But I feel like
We saw
true.
D Book pressing and trying to go 1-on-2, 1-on-1, and getting locked down and getting tossed by Giannis and all these excessive bad possessions because we didn't see a lot of execution from Monty or Chris.
That's true.
I feel like you bring up an excellent point. I would flip it though. I feel like defensively, they needed to switch it up once game 3 ended because it's like I compare it to like
adjustments defensively.
the first 2 games they got off. They were fine. They were getting into the fast break, transition
At
points
home.
at home. But I think what you saw as the game wore on, it's kind of like in the NFL, you know, football season right around the corner. If you got a big power back like Derrick Henry, you may hold Derrick Henry to like 40 or 50 yards in the first half, but he's such a bruising running back.
As the game
His endurance,
gets on.
he wears you down. So I feel like while Giannis, he was still coming back from that injury, you know, as the series went on, Giannis's intensity went up like 3 or 4 notches.
Facts.
And Chris Paul at the end of the games in the press conference, what was interesting was like he was saying, you know, we're doing all we can. I feel like they should have gone to like a double team, or maybe they were scared to go to like a double team situation with Giannis because Connaughton and Middleton and those shooters and Holiday, they were getting off.
We'll see.
And they didn't stray away from that man-to-man defense.
That's a good point that you bring up when you're talking about bruising. And as the game, you know, goes on in football, a guy like Derrick Henry will keep bruising you and continue to bruise you. Well, when it comes to basketball, Number one, let's look at the most recent championships as well. When you look at this year, Giannis, big, down low.
That's putting it bluntly.
When you're talking about Brook Lopez, even though obviously he's not necessarily got as a bruiser, he still got height.
The most bipolar player on that team,
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Drew Holiday, strong, strength. PJ Tucker, Chris Middleton. When you're talking about even Bobby Portis, when you're talking about, and then you look at the length and the girth and the big of the Suns, looking at DeAndre Ayton, who's beyond DeAndre Ayton? Dario Saric? And he got hurt, but Dario Saric was literally their backup. So when you look at the last 3 or 4 championships, just recently, the Lakers, what was one of the main reasons? They were bigger than every team.
Well, what's funny about
bruise
this
you.
finals though was that same on the same account. The first 2 games of the series, the Suns looked way better than the Bucks because their shooters were making shots.
That's true.
So it's like, oh my God, they're so outmatched. The Suns have so much firepower.
Finesse.
And then as the series wore on, and Giannis started to get more and more in his bag.
getting beat up.
Now size matters. You know, it was weird how that happened.
Monty's defensive strategy was not it at all.
Yeah.
It was not it. For
They stopped doing the
Chris
wall,
to be an aging point guard or an older point guard, for him to be guarding the Drew Holidays.
I got a question about Chris.
Oh, here we go.
How come with some point guards or some players they say, oh, you can't win with him? Apparently you can't win with Chris Paul.
I mean,
I asked you something. Has it been proven?
Hey,
I don't know if you can win with
Has
him.
it
Here
been
we
proven?
go.
Can you win with Chris Paul?
he not God to me.
I ain't seen
so
him
I
win
don't-
nothing.
My God. What is
He
Chris?
can't win with Harden. He can't win with Blake Griffin. He can't win with DeAndre Jordan. He can't win with Doc Rivers. He can't win with.
Who can he win with?
Oh, but, well,
I know who I can
They
win
say
with.
you can't win with certain point guards.
I know who I can win with.
I know who they saying about.
what does he do now, though?
Bring him up.
What does he do
He
now? Like,
retire.
you don't think he'll want to run it back?
Now
They're not gonna get out the West
If
next
they
year.
run it back with them, he
They're
can
not-
have
they
a-
will
he can
not
have
get-
a-
they
a
will
good
Would
not
he be
season.
would he be better off taking the extension or going to play like the Lakers or something
Or
like
to
that?
try with Bron or something?
Yeah.
Because
if he's talking about winning
if
the
he
title, he's talking
stays
about
in
money.
Phoenix,
Title.
If he stays in Phoenix,
Oh,
they're
they're
if
not
he
not
winning.
stays in
it.
Phoenix, he has to beat Bron again.
First of all,
Yeah, healthy.
not-
first of all,
I'm gonna be healthy next
first of
year.
all,
Remind you, I'm gonna be
been
healthy
talking
next
about
year.
that.
We don't know that.
I'm gonna be healthy
we
next year.
talking about
You
Bron.
know that for a fact?
Yes.
That's
You
not
gonna be
Phenom no more.
Retool.
Hold on, we talking about you. Clay gonna be healthy next year. So what are we talking about?
I do that.
He got to deal with that too. I don't know if the
that's true.
Suns beat
He'll be
them.
next year.
D Mitch.
What are we talking about? Jamal Murray? What are we talking
It's a
about?
lot out
Jamal
there.
Murray season right around the corner,
To get
baby.
through all that
That's true.
again.
That's what I was thinking when I
Because
opened the door for
especially-
Sean. I was like, man, he got the. I was thinking the Chris Paul segment, like he's gonna have to get through all that again. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's
No,
I mean,
no
'cause-
chance.
Well, 'cause you
No
gotta
way.
look at, just like the earlier point that me and Lee was talking about. Earlier, when you're looking at this season coming in, I mean, you're seeing all this talent and all these rosters and stuff like that, and all these players on the West. A lot of players got injured. Now, I'm not gonna say obviously attrition is part of the skill set, a part of winning the title in that year. But what I'm saying is to have that happen again,
Oh no, I can't.
this it's gonna be very, very
Before
tough.
we leave Chris Paul, I gotta ask something for real this time. Now, because I'm not shooting at him, but this the way his style of play is, his controlling of the game. Certain players, I feel like with the Phoenix Suns, he uplifted that team, but certain players he limited, like a DeAndre Ayton, who when Chris Paul has a big man, you only stay in one area of the floor. You come out here to set my pick, then you get back down there. You don't expand your game. You don't do Anthony Davis mid range. You don't venture out. Granted, that's not necessarily what a big man does, but when DeAndre Ayton came into the league, he was shooting 20, 21
I mean,
footers.
that's the
22
big man's
footers,
game now.
expanding it. Not to say I don't know if that team needed that or not, but he definitely needed to do something more than what he was doing offensively.
I mean, because when Cam
And-
Payne was in there, he's pushing the pace. So they was up and down the floor consistently.
Well,
You feel
and
me?
defensively, he was getting into foul trouble, and that was also
Yes.
on Monty. Now, because he shouldn't have been guarding
because he
Giannis
was the only
necessarily.
one who was.
They had to throw Kaminsky out
Giannis's
there at
field
one
goal
point.
percentage at first was only being lower against DeAndre Ayton only.
No,
that's
so you
true.
had to keep
That's
him
very
on
true.
him.
Yeah,
Once
that's
again,
true.
foul trouble. I mean, you ain't got no size to back it up. You done.
Basically,
That's
you have
true.
nobody who can compare with Giannis.
Oh
you had to
no,
put him out there.
no.
Yeah.
But part of their problem was as well. Like I said, they don't have a backup.
Yeah.
So if DeAndre Ayton gets 3 fouls in the first half, you're going to Dario Saric or you're going to Frank the Tank Kaminsky.
Yeah.
They needed.
I mean,
It was all bad.
They should have brought Charles
Even-
back out of retirement.
But you know,
They needed a
One of
Dwight.
those bad
some type of-
ideas.
Yeah.
They need
Some-
somebody.